So yesterday I asked you one question related with that return statement in a recursive function call. This was the program we wrote yesterday. And I asked you the question whether when the value of x becomes 0, why 1 is not returned to the main function. Yesterday I asked question. Basically, this was the recursive function we wrote yesterday. So this is a function call, and whatever the number user enters, that is sent and collected in a formal argument x. Now this is a base case for the recursion, right? That means some condition must be there which will help recursive call to stop. So this is basically base condition, because we know that factorial of any number, we go on multiplying those number by 1 less than that number till 1, not 0. Otherwise, factorial of each number will be 0. Now, how we have written the condition? When x is 0, they return 1. So what is the meaning of this? Prima facie, we feel that each time 1 will be returned here, but it is not the case, because we have to understand the flow of this execution, flow of this program. That is very important to understand. So this is main function. Inside main function, you call the function as fact is equal to factorial. Suppose we send argument as 5, right? Now this is a function call. When this statement is executed, control moves to the function definition. So this is basically the function definition. This is function definition. So this is main function. This is factorial, right? This is factorial. I will write it in the text box. So this is factorial with argument as 5, right? So this function will be called. Now inside that, what we have written, which arguments we have written? Int x and int f. So this is x, right? This is x. There is a one variable called int f. And what statement I have written? If x is equal to 0, what is the code here? If x is equal to 0, right, return 1. This is how it is written. Right? What is written else? What is the statement? F is equal to x into factorial of x minus 1. So that will be 4. This is code. Basically this function. Now what happens when control as far as x is concerned, x is 5 here in this function, right? So this condition is false, right? This is false. So control moves here to the else part, right? In the else part, when this statement is executed, this x is what? Here x is 5, right? 5 multiplied by, this is a function call again, right? Since this is a function call, like factorial function has been called from the main function, here factorial 5 is a calling function, and this is called function. Factorial 4 is a called function. So one more function body is created. So this will be one more function as factorial as 4. Okay, separate body is created inside because function has been called, and control, it is not a loop, so control will not go from here to here. Okay, this doesn't mean control will go here. No, because it is not a loop, right? Rather, control goes from here to another function. Okay, this is completely a separate function. Okay, this is completely a separate function. And here again, there will be, now this 4 is here, this is x, so here x is equal to, right? Again, there will be one more, its own variable, that is int f, because separate body is there. So there will be again f, then this whole code will be there. It is the same body, x into factorial x minus 1. So x minus 1 will be 3. Basically, this is repeated. Okay, so one more function will be called again, whose value here, it will be x is equal to 3, because separate function is called here, right? From here again, somewhere from this point, a separate function will be called, right? This will be, new function will be called with x is equal to 2. From here again, next function will be called, right? From here, from this point. So it will be x is equal to 1, right? And from here, this point, again one more function will be called. This will be x is equal to 1. Here, this condition becomes true. Which one? This condition will become true here, right? So once that condition becomes true, what is the statement? Return 1. So 1 is here, right? Here it is 1. So 1 will be written where? 1 will not return here, because this function has not been called by the main function. No. Okay. Rather, this function has been called by this function, right? So this 1 will go where? Here, right? What is the statement over there? The statement over there is f equal to x into, okay, what is the value returned from that function call? 1. Okay, what is x here? Here x is 1, right? It is 1. So 1 into 1, f will be stored. So f will be here, f will be 1. Okay, since same code is here, then here each code there is a statement called return f, right? So here there is a statement called return. In each function block, there is a statement called return f, right? So this f, what f1? So this 1 will be returned where? From this point, it will be returned here. Okay, from where the control has left. Now here again the statement is there. Same statement is there. F is equal to x into what is the return value? That is 1. What is the value of x here? Value of x is 2. So 2 into 1, that is now here f contains 2. This 2 will be returned because again there is a statement called return f, right? So this f will be returned where, from where the function is being called. What is the statement over there? Again x into what is the value? 2. What is x here? 3, right? So this becomes f equal to, so f is here 6, right? This 6 will be written here. Where? Here, right? So this is 6 and this is 4, right? So 4 into 64, 4 into 6, that is 24. This 24 will be written here, right? This 24, right, into this 5, right? 5 is here. So 120. And here there is a statement called return f. So 120 will be returned here, okay? And that is printed as 120. This is very important. I hope you have understood all these things, right? So this is how the recursive function works inside the machine, okay? I will show you same with the help of debugging, right? And closely observe how it works. Hmm? So I will use the run to cursor, right? So there is output, right? And I will add the watch window here. At the same time, this I will close. At the same time, I will open call stack. So as I told you, main is stack, right? So I will the next line, right? And for the next line, I will enter 5, suppose here, 5, right? Press enter. So now num contains 5 here, and the control has reached at line number 15. This is yet to be executed. So I will press step into. So this is step into. So function will be called. You can see here factorial, as I showed you, factorial x is equal to 5. That function is being called, which I showed you. Now that white block doesn't exist. So factorial x is equal to 5. That separate function body is there. Okay. If x is equal to 0, whether x is equal to 0, no, x is 5 here, right? So control will go to the else part. See here. It goes to the else part because condition is false. Now here what happens? Control goes to right hand side of the expression. Okay. And there, since function has got highest priority, this will be called first, right? So from here, separate body of function is created and control goes again here. So it will no, it will go at the top and come inside. Observe that carefully. And in this call stack, there will be one more function with argument that x is equal to 4. Just observe it carefully. Okay. And observe value of x here, it will it is 4 now, right? So step into. So observe that each function has got a set of f and x, separate set of f and x. Got that? X is equal to 4 has been pushed. So this is separate function body, this is separate function body. Here x is equal to 4. Again, it will go on executing the way I showed you, right? So observe carefully both these windows at the same time arrow. I will go on pressing the step into each time. Not that. Each time the value of f in each function is different because it is a junk value. This is yet to be executed. X is equal to 2, right? X is equal to 1, right? Still condition will be false. So it goes to the x is equal to 0, right? The he condition becomes true now. So this will be executed and 1 will be returned. Okay, 1 will be returned to where? This function. Right? Got that? Return 1 and 1 will be returned. Got that? Now f has become 1. Okay. Now observe this value. This goes on changing. It is 1 now, right? Then it will become 2, then it will become 2, then it will become 6, then it will become 24, then it will become 120. It's like that. You observe that carefully. The way these functions are popped from the call stack, the value of f will go on changing. Have you seen the value of f is 2 now? Now it will become 6, right? Now it will become 24. Now it will become 120, right? And 120 will be returned to the main function because last remaining function is main function, right? So that all function have been popped, right? And it will print that value. Sorry. So you'll get the output here 5 factorial equals 120. So this is how it is executed, right? I hope this much in detail internals of recursive function I have explained you to the best possible and simplest way. I hope so. What were the concepts which I didn't taught you yesterday? We'll observe these points now. I can discuss these points now. Generally, recursive solutions are simpler than as simple as iterative solutions. Many recursive solutions are simpler to write, right? There are some problems in which one solution is much simpler than the other. That is sure. Generally, recursive solutions are slightly less efficient than the iterative ones. Yes. What is the reason? The reason is that there are two ways, right? One is iterative. I think this is the best. These are the best letters I have drawn ever in my life. Iterative and recursive. I think it is true that practice makes perfect man, right? So one is iterative and other is recursive. What happened in case of there was a main function, right? And there was one function factorial. Okay. So there were only two functions, right? Main function was calling the factorial function, and here there was a loop, right? There was a loop, and this function is called only once, and this loop is executed and it returns the result. That's it. So as far as uh, this function is concerned, there were how many variables? Two variables there, right? So there were two variables. One for the, I think x was there. I was there also, loop counter, right? There was I, right? There was x and there was fact, right? This was, I think, fact. If you can recall that code, which we wrote yesterday, right? So there was I as a loop counter. X was the number sent from the user, right? So it used to be 5, and this takes the value from 1 to, rather 0 to 5, right? That was I counter, and this was the result, right? This was the result. So in all, suppose 4 bytes are required for the integer. How many bytes were there? 4, 4, and 4. That is 12 bytes of memory was consumed, right? And suppose for this function, okay, we will assume, okay, we will assume that this function body takes suppose uh, 200 bytes of memory. Okay, we do not know that. For our calculation, we will take as a 200 bytes, right? It may be more than that, we don't know. And these 12 bytes, 12 bytes for variables, 200 bytes for the source code of function. Okay, for main function, suppose take 400 bytes of memory. These are just assumptions, right? 400 bytes. So in all, how many bytes? 400 plus 200 is 600, and 612 bytes were there, right? What happens in case of recursive call? In case of recursive, this function body is same, right? So these are 400 bytes, right? 400 bytes. Now there, their loop was not there. Okay, so one factorial function, it was calling another factorial function. Okay, this was calling another factorial function. 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 Okay, this is limited to the number. Okay, so these many functions will be created when x is 5. Okay, if x is suppose 15, then these many functions will be created. Here there is no restriction. You enter 5, 10, 15, whatever. Same amount of memory will be there, right? Here it doesn't happen. So suppose for each function block there is 200 bytes. So how many blocks are there? This function is called x is equal to 5. This function will be called for x is equal to 4. This function will be called for x is equal to 3. This function will be called for x is equal to 2. This function will be called x is equal to 1. This function will be called for x is equal to 0. And whatever code, whatever code you have written, whatever code you have written here, right? This is repeated everywhere. Everywhere the code of factorial will be same in each function, right? Whether it is for x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 4 or x is equal to 3, doesn't matter at all. So suppose now each of these function has got two variables, right? Each of these function was having two variables, right? So 8 bytes for variables, right? 8 bytes for variable and 200 bytes, right? Or function definition. So this will be 208. Again, this will be 208. So total bytes will be 208. How much that will be? 208. So 208 into how many blocks were there? 6. Right? 100 and 1248 plus 400. But 1648 bytes, when you enter 5, okay, what will happen if you enter 15? It will be huge size. That is the reason it is said that iterative calls are efficient and recursive calls are less efficient. As far as program efficiency is concerned, iterative calls are efficient. As far as this is concerned, single and multiple. What we have seen that factorial or simple program, these are called single recursion. Very simple and straightforward, right? Searching of file is concerned. Okay, as far as searching of file is concerned on your hard disk or maybe on the internet, this search is a kind of a multiple recursion because it is very complex. For example, searching, what is basically searching? Searching is, you have learned, I think, array in your college, right? So this is an array, right? So array elements are stored contiguously, right? So if particular number, whether that number exists in an array or not, you go on searching like this, right? So this is a linear searching, okay? Suppose there is a phone directory as in your mobile, right? There are entries by name or whatever, and when you, this will go on linearly, right? Searching number, whether that number exists or not. When there is nowadays phone directories are not there. Suppose there is a voter, I think, I don't know whether you have voted or not in your life, or probably you are going to vote first time. So there is a kind of a register when you go for voting, right? And there is your ID, some kind of ID is there, right? And these ID are serially, right? Like this. So suppose your number is 738 in your ward, right? Then it will go on searching, and if they find that okay 73 it is this much, okay, this is a searching. This is a very simple process, okay, though it is a time consuming, it is simple. It is definitely time consuming. If the sample size is more, it is time consuming, and that is why data structure is a different branch of computer engineering, because data structure is something where how to store the data, how to retrieve the data efficiently, that is different story altogether. Now, but as far as our hard disk is concerned, okay, for time being, I will give example of hard disk. Okay, so hard disk, there is a C drive, there is a D drive, there is a E drive, F drive. Suppose, okay. So what happens in the C drive? There are folders, right? In each folder, okay, there are multiple folders, right? I will not draw because it is not possible here, right? Again, for this, there will be multiple. Again, for each of this, there will be multiple, right? Again, for D, same picture, E, same picture, F, same picture. So just imagine what would be that if particular file is stored, okay, at this location, suppose your file is here, okay, and you put the search at the my computer, right? You go to the my computer and search for some file. Suppose your file, suppose there is a part of, you want to store it, so there is a file called password. Your own passwords are there, right? Password dot txt, suppose txt file is there, right? Now when you go, because you do not know where you have stored on the computer, so you will go to the my computer and ask computer to check all drives C, D, E, F, right? So just imagine how this searching differs from this and this and this. Okay, it's very difficult. So what it does, it goes at the C. Okay, so searching actually starts here. It wants to search this, 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 and this. So again, it is a serial kind of this. Okay, okay, so going for the C, D, E, F. It is like this, right? But inside C again, same process is there. Okay, it has to search this, 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 this. Okay, so can you recall the pattern? There is a pattern. Okay, same pattern is here. Okay, this pattern is again at the miniature level. It is the same pattern. Again at the small level, again it is same pattern. Again at the small level, it is the same pattern. Again at the small level, it is the same pattern, right? So this is a kind of a tree, and I told you yesterday, tree is a kind of a recursive object, right? So what it will do, it will go here, right? Then it will go here. Then it will search this. Again it will go back. Again search this. Again search this. Again search this. Okay, it will come back. Again resume this. Again it will come back. Resume this. Okay. Inside this there will be again a lot of paths are there. So likewise it will go here, again here, again here, again here, again here. Then it will search. Okay, file found. This basically is a multiple recursive method, right? I hope you understood. Direct recursion and indirect recursion. Why actually I'm teaching you these points? Maybe in the interview or Viva they will ask you, right? So you should know what is single and what is multiple. What is direct recursion and indirect recursion? I will teach you that as what you see is here is it is a direct recursion, right? Factorial has been called by the main function, and factorial itself is calling factorial function. So this is the direct recursion. There can be indirect recursion, can be there, right? I will suppose write void function 1, right? And void function 2, right? Fun1 and fun2. Suppose here fun1 is called, Suppose I write here definition of fun1, right? And I write here printf inside fun1, right? And from here, it is not calling fun1 because it would be a direct recursion. Here it will call function 2, right? And here there will be a function 2 definition, and here inside fun2, and here it will call fun1, right? So this is also a kind of a recursion because it is not going to end. Okay? I mean, with proper conditions, you can put that, you can write that, but this is not a direct recursion, it is an indirect recursion. So it will go on executing again and again and again. No, it will not stop. Got that? So fun1, fun2, fun1, fun2, fun1. It will never stop. Okay, I have to abort that. Right? Fine. Single, multiple, direct, and indirect. It is also called as mutual recursion. Okay, because mutually they are calling each other. Whatever I told you behind the scenes, that is here. Each time of last time, yesterday rather, when I read this, I told you that at the time of program, I will explain all these things. Now, once you understood the program, probably you will understand the meaning of this, right? So each time a function is called a new instance of the function. I told you, new instance of that factorial. Okay, new instance means completely new object, new memory. Memory will be separate memory. I told you that memory will be given. Memory for separate variables will be given. So completely new instance is created. Okay, and it is destroyed each time. New instance, new function is created, one new more function is created, so that factorial, when you send 5 as an argument, that 6 bodies of a function factorial were created, and each time the return controls from end, it went on destroying those instances. So it is created and destroyed. The creation of new instance only requires the allocation of memory space for data. Okay? So I told you this for data and it is, memory is required. Instance of function are destroyed in reverse order. I told you that the control goes in the reverse order. Okay, so at that time the whole expression is solved. So first instance to be created will be the last to be destroyed. I told you that, right? F is equal to 5, that function, it was destroyed last. Okay, after that control goes to main. So that is a typical, no, what I can say, last in, first out, LIFO, right? This is same what I it might not be possible to teach you this using this pre-drawn images or rectangles. So that's why I showed everything on the whiteboard, right? So if destroyed, then why it takes more bytes than iterating? Destroyed means that many function. See, when a function is created, when a when a function is called, memory is required, right? But same function, you are not calling same function. You are calling function with different argument. Each time argument is different, so different function body is created inside the memory, right? And again, see, this is the main, right? This is factorial. Okay. So in the memory, there will be one main function and one factorial function, right? Like this. This is the iterative solution using loop, right? Iterative. I stands for iterative. But when you talk about the recursion, this will be the main function. It is going to take memory. There will be a factorial function. But when you call the factorial function, from this function you are calling another function. So separate body is created because it is not a loop. Separate body is created. Okay. It is not like that it will go here and start executing that. No, it is not possible. Right. Okay. See, you have to think on that. I'm teaching you everything, but problem is that you won't completely understand that unless you actually, rewatch my video and think on that. From your angle, you have to think about the memory and what might be happening at the memory level. You have to think that. Otherwise, no, no, it is just you will learn like a robot, okay, and you will answer questions like a robot. Okay. See, we are a human being, so we have got that no ability to think and imagine what might be happening inside the machine and what might be the issues. Why separate memory is given for each function body? You have to think on that. You have to think. Okay? So all these function will be separate function bodies. Okay, and function needs memory. It is not that only variables needs memory. Functions also need memory. Right? So these many whatever variable, whatever functions is called, I mean, how many that recursive call takes place, these many functions will be cluttered in the memory. So in the memory there will be a lot of functions, right? Like this. One other. I told you, I showed you that on that no call stack. A lot of statements, a lot of functions will be there, right? Lot of see, and I told you each function has got different stack. I told you that. You too. Each function has got that stack. Each function maintains its own stack. So on the each function there will be x and there will be f, right? And last time, suppose this is the last time function is called and condition becomes true, x is equal to 0 is true, okay? The control goes back to the calling function, right? When control goes back to the calling function, this function is destroyed and the stack maintained by this, that is also destroyed. Okay, so this is also destroyed and this is also destroyed. This destruction depends, is has got direct relation along with that opening and closing curly brace. I told you this in the storage class. That is the reason I taught you storage class before this chapter. So I told you whenever control goes outside the curly brace, that is the significance of curly brace. Why to write curly brace after main function, after each function? That is the significance that it gives the indication to the no compiler. Now remove that. Okay, don't keep that. It is like this, right? So now when control goes outside this, okay, all variables declared in this scope. I told you I have given a lot of time for teaching this topic storage classes. This is the scope. Opening and curly braces defines the scope of a variable. What is the scope of a variable? The region in a program in which that variable is visible. That is the region. Scope is the region, right? So whatever variables you have declared here, these will be destroyed. And then this is destroyed and function is destroyed. Okay. So serially this is taken place. Okay. So first this is the last function call, this is destroyed, so this is going to be the first destroyed, then next this will be destroyed, then this will be destroyed, then this will be destroyed, then this will be destroyed. And at the end, when you go outside the program, you get the output and you press the no any key, press any key to continue. You come outside the program, this is destroyed. So everything is cleans, right? So this is how the program is executed. So that was about the this thing. So we'll stop here.